Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. And this time, we are tackling project management,
Oh, yeah.
um, but not the whole thing.
Right.
We're really going to hone in on that early stage, like, identifying those promising projects,
Yes,
formulating a really solid plan,
absolutely.
and doing the appraisal, before you commit
Yeah.
big resources, right?
Yeah, that's right.
It's kind of surprising how many projects go like way over budget or they miss their deadlines.
Oh, yeah.
All because like the early steps were just,
They were done right.
yeah, they weren't done right.
Got to get that foundation right.
Yeah, so we're going to try and help you avoid those pitfalls today. So
Absolutely.
let's just start right at the very beginning.
Okay.
Where do these project ideas even come from?
Right.
Is it just people sitting in the room brainstorming, or is
Yeah.
there like a process?
Well, it depends. Sometimes you do have that aha moment,
Right.
but a lot of times it's a little more structured. So, for instance, development projects,
Yeah.
things focused on infrastructure, public services.
Yeah.
Those often come out of national planning processes.
Okay.
Like big picture goals get sort of broken down into more
All right.
specific project needs.
So it's like, okay, we want to be here.
Right.
How do we get there?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, you have like industrial projects driven by, market opportunities.
Yeah.
Or a company wanting to expand their reach.
So that's like seeing a need and then,
Right.
designing the solution for it. Okay.
Mhm.
But I'm guessing there's usually like a lot of ideas
Yeah,
for any given thing.
absolutely.
So how do you narrow it down?
So that's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
Think of it like panning for gold. You've got tons of dirt and gravel,
Uh-huh.
and you're looking for just those nuggets.
Yeah.
And that's what opportunity studies are for. It's that initial screening to sift through,
Okay.
highlight the promising ones.
All right. So we've gone from just this like pile of potential projects to now a short list.
Yep.
How do we make them real?
Well, that's the art of project formulation.
Okay.
Taking that stark
Yeah.
and shaping it into an actual plan,
Okay.
gathering information, doing analyses, and presenting it in a way
Yeah.
that decision makers can really
Use.
compare it to other options.
And I bet this is where the resource constraints come in, right?
Oh,
You
absolutely.
can't do all the good ideas.
No, you can't. It forces you to confront those limitations.
Yeah.
Do we have the budget, the manpower, the expertise, the time,
All the things.
the tough questions?
Especially, if you're working in a resource-limited environment,
Exactly.
you don't want to waste time with things that aren't going to
Absolutely.
work.
That's right.
So within project formulation, are there like steps?
Yes. So we've got the opportunity studies,
Uh-huh.
and then we move into pre-feasibility studies,
Okay.
which delves a little deeper to try and flag any major red flags early on.
Like checkpoints. Exactly.
Yeah.
Then you've got support studies.
Ooh, what are those?
They can be fascinating.
Yeah.
They focus on very specific aspects of the project
Oh.
that needs a closer look. So, for example, you might have a market research study
Right.
or, geological survey for a construction project.
So it's like, okay, this is our idea,
Right.
but we need to make sure that like the ground is stable
Yeah,
before we build on it.
exactly.
Gotcha. Okay.
So can you give me like a real world example
Sure.
of how that would, change something?
Okay. So let's say you're planning a wind farm
Okay.
and you do a support study and you find that the wind speeds
Oh.
are way lower than you thought.
Wow.
That could totally change
Yeah.
the feasibility.
We're going to have to move it.
You might have to leave locations, or you might even have to scrap the whole idea.
Wow. So
Yeah.
that's a good illustration of how you really need
And
to do your homework.
Yeah.
Okay.
And all of this leads to the feasibility study. This is the big assessment, the final exam
Right.
for your project idea.
Uh-huh.
And it looks at everything from the technical aspects to economic viability,
Yeah.
environmental impact,
Wow.
even social considerations.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
So is the feasibility study like the only thing?
Well, no, because then you've got project appraisal too,
Right.
which we'll get into
Yeah.
later.
Okay.
But the feasibility study just establishes whether the project is fundamentally viable.
Okay.
It's like the detailed investigation.
Okay.
And then project appraisal is more like a critical review of that investigation.
Oh, okay.
It scrutinizes those findings and digs deeper.
So like a double check just to
Exactly.
make sure.
That's right.
All right. So let's talk about those
I
components.
have the feasibility study.
The feasibility study.
Okay, so the first one is economic and market analysis.
Okay.
And this is where we figure out if there's actual demand.
Right, because I was reading about this tech company who like made this really cool gadget but they totally whiffed on the market analysis.
Oh, no.
Because they were so focused on the technology,
Yeah.
they didn't realize that no one wanted it.
Yeah. So you can have a great idea,
Right.
but if nobody wants it,
Yeah, it's a flop.
it's a flop.
Okay, so market analysis, super important.
Super important. Then you've got your technical analysis.
Okay, so this is like, even if it is a great idea,
Right.
can we actually
Can we actually do it?
do it? Yeah.
So we look at what technological alternatives are out there,
Uh-huh.
the best choice for this particular project,
Okay.
and what kind of capacity and inputs we'll need.
Okay.
It's all about finding that optimal technical approach.
All right. And we can't forget about the environmental piece, right?
Oh, of course not. That's becoming more and more crucial.
Yeah, we can't just
You can't just
not
ignore
on the
it.
planet anymore.
So this focuses on getting those environmental clearances,
Okay.
analyzing those potential impacts,
Yeah.
and figuring out how to mitigate them.
Okay.
It's all about sustainability.
So we've covered market, technical, environmental.
Yeah.
What about money?
Yes. Financial analysis.
Right. You can't do anything without
Not the money.
the money.
So here's where we dive into the numbers.
Uh-huh.
We look at things like payback period,
Okay.
return on investment, and discounted cash flow analysis.
Right.
Like net present value benefit cost ratio, internal rate of return.
You know, speaking of which,
Yeah.
like early in my career, I got really excited about a particular metric on this project.
Oh, yeah.
Turns out I completely misinterpreted it.
Oh.
And the project was not,
Not as profitable as you thought.
no, not at all.
Oh, so it's not just about,
Crunching the numbers.
right, it's about
Understanding them.
what they actually mean.
Okay, so money's super important.
Super important. And then, of course, you have risk and uncertainty.
Oh, yeah, because nothing is risk-free.
Right. No project is completely risk-free.
There's always something.
There's always something that can pop up.
Right, like I was working on this project one time,
Yeah.
and there was this sudden change in government regulations. And it just
Threw a wrench in the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's why proactive risk management is so important.
Yeah, I gotta be ready.
Exactly.
Okay.
And, we don't just look at the financial returns.
Okay.
We look at the broader economic benefits, too.
So it's not just making money, but like the impact.
Yeah, the positive
Right.
impact
I can.
on the community, on the economy.
Okay.
Things like new jobs, boosting economic activity.
Gotcha.
And then finally, we can't overlook the management aspects.
Right, because even with the best idea,
Yeah.
if you don't have a good team.
If it's not managed well, it can still fall apart.
Totally.
You need a strong team,
Yeah.
the right expertise, a clear organizational structure.
Like someone to conduct the orchestra.
Exactly.
All right, so we've done identification, formulation, feasibility.
Yes.
What happens next?
Well, that brings us to project appraisal.
Okay, let's talk about that.
So that brings us to project appraisal.
Okay, so if the feasibility study is like the investigation,
Yeah.
this is like...
It's where the jury deliberates. The courtroom.
Exactly.
Okay, so who's on the jury? Depends on the project,
Okay.
Sometimes it's internal, senior management or a committee.
Right.
But other times you bring in outside experts.
So you want like fresh eyes.
Fresh eyes, yeah, a little healthy skepticism.
Yeah.
Make sure you haven't missed anything.
So it's even more rigorous than the
Oh, yeah, it goes deeper.
feasibility study.
It scrutinizes every single thing. So, for example, with the market analysis,
Okay.
we're not just confirming there's demand,
Right.
but looking at, the marketing infrastructure.
Uh-huh.
Is there a team in place?
Right.
Are they competent?
Can they actually reach those customers?
Exactly. Can they actually reach
So
them?
it's not enough to just like
Right.
know that people want it.
Exactly.
You got to be able to get it to them.
That's right.
Okay, and then what about the technical stuff?
Same thing, making sure the tech is the best fit,
Mm-hmm.
that the proposed capacity is appropriate,
Right.
that the team has the skills to do it.
No stone unturned.
Exactly. And, of course, the environmental impact,
Right.
making sure everything's aligned with regulations
Mhm.
and that you've got solid mitigation measures in place.
Okay, and then the money too.
Of course, we go over the financial projections with a fine-tooth comb,
Yeah.
looking at the capital, the rate of return, the cost estimations, the financing plan,
The whole 9 yards.
the whole 9 yards.
It's making sure that it's not just good on paper,
Right.
but like
That it can actually work in the real world.
it can work, yeah.
Exactly.
You mentioned social cost benefit analysis.
Yeah. SCBA.
Why is that so important?
Well, it goes beyond just the numbers,
Okay.
and looks at the broader societal impact, even the stuff that's hard to measure.
So, like the downsides.
Yeah, the potential downside.
Even if you can't really put a dollar figure on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine a project that makes a ton of money,
Okay.
but it displaces a whole community
All right.
or damages a sensitive ecosystem,
Right.
SCBA helps us weigh those things.
So is it actually good for everybody?
Exactly. Is it truly worthwhile?
Yeah, because we can't just
You can't just chase profits anymore.
ignore the consequences.
That's right.
No.
SCBA helps make sure that projects are contributing to,
Yeah.
sustainable development, not just short-term gains.
Sustainable, yeah.
Okay, so assuming the project gets through all of this,
Yeah.
what do we end up with?
Like the actual plan.
Exactly, the blueprint.
Okay.
That's the detailed project report.
The VPR.
Or DPR. It's
Yeah.
essentially a set of architectural plans for the whole thing.
So like if the feasibility study is proof of concept,
Yeah.
this is how we're going to do it.
This is the how-to guide.
Okay.
And it covers everything,
Yeah.
design drawings, tech specs,
Mm-hmm.
cost estimates, timelines,
So it guides the whole.
the whole project lifecycle from beginning to end. Okay, so we've done identification, we've done formulation,
Yes.
we've done the appraisal.
We've done the appraisal.
But what if you've got a bunch of good options,
Mm-hmm.
but not enough resources?
That's the $1,000,000 question.
How do you decide?
How do you choose?
Let's talk about that. Okay, so we've got like all these projects, right?
Yeah, whole stack of them.
Each with its, feasibility study, its appraisal, the DPR.
Yep, all ready to go.
But you can't do them all.
You've got limited resources.
How do you choose?
That's right. That's project prioritization.
Okay.
It's a crucial step
Uh-huh.
that a lot of people skip over.
Right.
It's all about allocating resources strategically to get the most bang for your buck.
Right, because you can't do it all.
You can't do it all.
It's like you're a chef.
Yeah.
You've got this amazing menu, but only so many burners on the stove.
That's a great analogy.
So how do you do it?
There are different methods. One common one is a scoring model.
Okay.
We assign weights to different criteria. It's like strategic alignment,
Yeah.
return on investment, urgency, risk level.
So you're like putting numbers to it?
Exactly. Each project gets a score,
Uh-huh.
and the ones with the highest scores bubble to the top.
So you take some of the
The subjectivity out of it.
yeah, the emotion out of it.
That's right. It helps to avoid decisions based, just on gut feeling or who shouts the loudest.
Right.
You can also use cost-benefit analysis.
Right.
Compare the potential benefits to the estimated costs.
Yeah.
Find the projects with the best return.
So even if they both sound great,
Right.
the one that gives you more bang
The one with a higher ratio.
gets to go first.
Exactly.
Okay. And then are there other things you got to think about?
Yeah, sometimes you need to consider, the qualitative stuff too.
Like what?
Like, does this project align with our overall strategic goals?
Right. So it might be a good project,
Right.
but
It might not be the right time.
not the right time, or it doesn't fit
Exactly.
with what you're trying to do.
You've got to be strategic.
This has been so helpful. I feel like I've learned a whole new language.
That's a lot to take in.
Feasibility studies, appraisals, DPRs, prioritization matrices.
It's a whole process.
It's amazing how much goes into a project before you even start the actual work.
The early stages are crucial.
They really are.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's recap.
Right.
We started with, the birth of an idea.
Yeah.
Then we went through identification, formulation, appraisal.
Yes,
We did a deep dive on feasibility studies,
that's right.
looked at the importance of appraisal, learned how to make a DPR.
And how to prioritize when you can't do it all.
That's right.
It's a whirlwind tour of project management.
It really is. But I think the main thing is that all these processes, they're
Yeah.
all about helping you succeed.
Absolutely. By applying these principles.
Yeah.
You can avoid a lot of the common mistakes.
The pitfalls.
Exactly. And set yourself up for success.
Whether it's, a huge project or a small one,
Doesn't matter.
the same principles apply.
That's right.
Maybe we've even inspired some people to learn more about
Yeah.
project management.
I hope so. It's a fascinating field.
It really is. Well, that's our deep dive for today. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.
And good luck with all your future projects.